Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, as you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, I was wrong. I was wrong about Exosisters. I expected them to be absolutely terrible, and they're not. They're only okay. Now, Exosisters currently in the OCG are one of the better decks. Granted, with Splites and Terror Elements being absolutely everywhere and just, like, the only two decks that are even slightly playable. However, after the ban list, who knows? But prior to the ban list, when Exosisters were even remotely playable, the reason for this was because they were an anti-graveyard strategy against two decks that really heavily utilized the graveyard. So it does make a bit of sense as to why they were so powerful, seeing as how their whole shenanigan is to lock out the extra deck using their XZ monsters summoned on the opponent's turn. Now, at the moment, they can kind of do that. It's not great, and it's only really good if your opponent is playing a deck that specifically moves cards from the graveyard, which, let's be honest, doesn't happen all that often. Unless they are playing the Tenyi half of Sword Soul or DPE, most of the time that's not going to happen without you being absolutely slammed. So, this deck isn't crazy. I don't want to get your hopes up too high, but with the new support that we know will eventually come, maybe in 2023, this deck will eventually become pretty good. Not top tier, I don't want to say that, but at least capable of being an anti-meta strategy. At the moment, it's probably not quite there. Anyway, let's just do the card by card. Real quick, Exosisters, if you don't know what they do, basically the idea is you XZ summon on your opponent's turn if they do anything with the graveyard. If they move a card from the graveyard, you use any of your monsters to go into a free XZ summon using that one monster, very similar to something like Zodiac, except on the opponent's turn, and then your XZ monsters get powerful effects if they are summoned on that turn. So, Mika, when it's summoned, can banish a card. Casp can prevent your... neither player can special summon a monster from the graveyard. Gib can negate a monster's effect, and Asfiel can prevent effects from activating in the grave. So that's basically what you're trying to do. Summon out one of these on the opponent's turn, prevent them from doing something. There you go. Moving on, let's do the quick card by card. First of all, I'm playing quite a few hand traps. I actually think hand traps are very important in this list, and I would actually want to play more instead of less. Realistically, I would take out a few other cards to add in just more hand traps, because hand traps are very nice in this deck. So, we're playing the one effect Vither, triple Maxi, triple Ash Blossom, and double Imperm, as well as double Lightning Storm, triple Pot of Prosperity, and double Called By, as are just generic cards. Of course, we're also playing the DPE package, with the Dasher Celestial 2 FD, 1 DPE, and 1 Verte. Moving on to the actual Exosisters, we're playing triple Ellis, triple Stella. These two paired together, as well as Ellis can special summon itself. Stella can special summon another one if it, during the main phase, you could special summon another one from hand. Sophia, we are playing triple Sophia and then 1 Irene. Sophia and Irene are linked. I'll explain what that means in a second. But Sophia can draw a card if you control another Exosister. Irene can put an Exosister card on the bottom of the deck in order to draw a card. So they both kind of just draw cards, which is nice. However, not very good with Pot of Prosperity, but still. So yeah, basically the idea is to get either an Ellis or a Stella into your grip and any other Exosister, and then you can kind of just go from there into one of your XZs. We are playing triple Pax. This card also allows you to special summon an Exosister monster after searching it, as long as you control another Exosister that is paired with it. So a Stella and an Ellis being paired, if you search out a Stella and you have an Ellis, you can special summon the Stella. If you search out a Sophia and you have an Irene, you can special the Sophia. Make sense? Makes sense. Arment allows you to special summon an XZ monster using one of your Exosister monsters, including even an XZ, of a different name than what you control from your extra deck on the opponent's turn. So if you have something like a Mika on your side of the field, you can use the Arment in order to target the Mika in order to go into a Gibrine, which then allows you to use the banish effect of Mika as well as the negate effect of Gibrine with just the one monster. And moving on, we have the trap card Vadis, this card basically allows you to special summon 2 Exosister monsters from your deck, as long as they are paired. So you can special summon Ellis and Stella, or Irene and Sophia. And then they are shuffled back into the deck during the end phase of that turn. Also, you are locked into Exosisters from the extra deck for the rest of that turn as well. Moving on to the extra deck, we are playing, obviously, the one DPE. We are playing the Utopic Draco and Utopic Future and Utopic Draco Future. We're playing triple Mika. Realistically, do you need triple of this? No. Most of the time, I never needed more than 2. However, the third one is nice to have, mostly because of Pot of Prosperity. Realistically, you could just trade it in for another Asfiel if you don't have it. We're playing triple Caspatel. Again, mostly for Pot of Prosperity reasons, but also it does search a monster when just like as its detach effect. Mika can search a spell or trap as its detach effect as well. We have Gibrine. Gibrine is pretty nice. It has the quick effect negate if it is summoned on the opponent's turn or just on that turn. Also, you can detach a material and all Xyzs gain 800. Just that whole turn, all Xyzs have an additional 800 attack. So even if you make something like Zeus, it's going to have 3,800 instead of just the 3k. But it's only for that turn. And then Asfiel has the detach in order to target a monster you control, or your opponent controls, and return it to the hand. So they all have some sort of disruption to the graveyard, or just like disruption in general. Mika banish, Gibrine negate, etc., etc. But they also have a detach ability that's just like a regular Xyz detach. We have Zeus as well, because of course we do. We're playing Xyz, we can make Zeus. And then the Verte. So that's it for the deck. Let's hop into the replays and show you how this performs. Alright, and here we are going second, and our hand's looking pretty bad, I'm not gonna lie. And down comes Diviner of the Herald, sending Herald of Arclight. At this point, I was very tempted to just surrender, but I was like, I'm gonna D-rank if I lose this game. So, we'll play it out. So, out comes the Thoroughbane. They're going to tribute the Ben 10. Ben 10 effect is going to activate. They're going to add the Diviner. And then I see them link off into a Verte Anaconda, and I go, oh, we could do this. I can deal with the DPE. That's fine. We can deal with this. Okay. And then they set one, and I'm going, not with this hand. Okay. We draw Stella, Sophia, so it's not the worst. But we're going to go Pot of Prosperity for 6, because I needed to find something. Didn't find anything. Depressing. Out comes the Stella. They're going to negate, or they're going to destroy it, and we're going to set the Vadis. DPE gets destroyed. It's going to special summon itself again, but this is actually good for us. Reason being, with this, we can, in the draw phase, they're going to activate their Dasher. I'm going to let that happen. They're going to go Diviner. I'm going to then, in response, activate the Vadis so that we can special summon out the Ellis and the Stella. Now, both of these will be able to activate to give us 2 Xyzs, which is a potential 2 interruptions on the opponent's turn. So out comes the DPE. So what we are going to do is we're going to activate both the Ellis and the Stella. I was kind of thinking that they would activate the DPE here, but they don't. So I just get a free Mika and a Gibrine. And then we are going to activate the Carpe Divum in order to call Medionis Jorytron. The reason for this is because we saw that they added the ritual spell, and so I can just prevent them from activating the ritual spell because it will be negated. On top of that, they're going to activate the DPE. I need to protect this card as best I can, so I'm going to negate with the Gibrine. So out comes the negate. Then we are going to activate the Mika effect in order to banish the last or the only Drytron name in their graveyard. I need to get it off of the field or out of the banish so that they can't, tribute summon this Diviner or tribute summon tribute the Diviner in their hand in order to special summon itself. So I banish that one instead. Yes, Mika can also banish in the grave. Now they're going to go to battle and not realize that because this card was special summoned from the graveyard, our monster cannot be destroyed by battle with a monster special summoned from the grave. This one cannot be destroyed by card effects, so even if he were to negate, or even if he were to just try and destroy the Gibrine, he's not going to be able to do that. Anyway, they're going to normal summon the second Diviner in order to go for a Union Carrier. Union Carrier is going to attach the Zeta, and they will pass back. Now we have no disruption, but we did draw into a called by, which is oh so very lucky. We're going to search out the packs, then we're going to activate the Gibrine, which they will promptly use their DPE to pop itself as well as the Mika. But we still gain the extra 200, or the extra 2000 attack, or 800 attack, so that now we are 2200. We're going to call by the DPE so that it is out of here and we no longer have to deal with it. That was an insane top deck. We're going to go for packs. We're going to add the Stella. Stella will then be special summon. Stella will then special summon. Just kidding. It won't special summon because our opponent has a called by. Okay, that's fine. I did activate the effect of the Stella because it was funny, but yeah, it doesn't do anything. We're going to go for the Sophia here in order to go into Mika. Mika will then allow us to banish the Zeta. Again, we need to banish the Zeta so that it doesn't go into the grave so that they can't use it on the following turn. Also, we ended up drawing into an Imperm off of our Sophia, so that's pretty nice. We're going to go and attack into everything, and then because I'm playing against Drytron, instead of going to Zeus, which just puts their monsters into the grave, I'm actually going to go for the Utopic Draco. And with Utopic as well as the Imperm, I'm feeling pretty confident that we can do this. So out comes the Meteonus Drytron. They are going to special summon out their Benten, and set one and oh, sorry, I forgot. Celestial is activated. I'm actually able to negate that with the Utopic. So I just negate, no draw 2, pass the turn. I draw Lightning Storm, doesn't matter. We're going to normal summon the Celestial, attack in for lethal damage. Whew! Cannot believe I won that game. Alright, so here we are going first with, holy crap, that is 3 hand traps and a Stella. To be fair, that's all it is. We just normal summon Stella and pass the turn because there's nothing else that we can do. But if one of our cards does end up getting called by, we do get Stella's effect, and we can utilize that. However, a Vishuddha comes down, and I'm just going to go and activate Maxi here so that we can, draw some cards off of this, and it resolves. Fantastic. So we get to draw a card here. They're going to set one and pass. We draw into Sophia, which is actually pretty good for us. We draw into Pot of Prosperity, which is okay. And then we are going to special summon out the Sophia, and then we will go for a Mika here. Reason being, we just want to banish stuff. Out comes the Imperm. I'm like, okay, at least we don't get the search, but we do get to at least banish their Vishuddha. So, goodbye Vishuddha. No search for us. Sad day. We are going to activate the Pot of Prosperity, though, and go for 3, and that gets promptly Ash Blossomed. Okay, that's fine. We can still make a Zeus, so there's that at the very least. So we're going to go and attack in with the Mika, and then make ourselves a Zeus. Then we'll pass the turn. It only has the 3 materials, so there's that, but we still have Effect Veiler and Ash Blossom. Out comes the Shithana, out comes the Taya. I'm going to Zeus here. Reason being, Taya is scary. But out comes Emergence, and we are going to Ash Blossom that and say, no Emergence, none of that. And yeah, we'll pass the turn. We draw into Stella, which is, like, okay. But at the very least, we could have an additional follow-up, again, if something gets called by. Or, we can go into Anaconda. So we're going to go into Anaconda, make the DPE as well. Because I think having a DPE and Effect Veiler is a little bit better than having a no material Zeus and potentially a Stella and an Effect Veiler. So I was like, at least we get the guaranteed DPE. So out comes DPE. They're going to set a card. We're obviously going to pop it. And at this point, the game is over. It's just going through the motions. And we draw another Ash Blossom. You know, feels good. So we're just going to go to, yeah, there you go. There's the game. Alright, here we are going first, and we have Sophia and, like, nothing else. I mean, we do get the DPE and 2 hand traps, which is very, very nice. And, yeah, all in all, that's kind of it. I'm going to keep the Ash Blossom in my hand instead of using it on this Maxi. Giving them that +1, that's fine. I'd much rather have the Ash Blossom on the opponent's turn, so that if we do end up using it, and they called by us, we can still use the Sophia. That is the idea behind not using it for that +1. But yeah. Out comes the Pot of Desires. Of course, I'm going to Ash this. You can't have a free +2. That seems like not a good idea. Out comes the Imperm. I'm actually going to use the effect of the DPE in order to pop some cards. And then out comes the Droplet. And the way that this is sequenced, Droplet negates the Sophia. And then I'm going to destroy the Sophia with our DPE. And I mean, with Sophia being negated, that means we can't get into an XZ. So I'm just like, okay, let's destroy it just in case my opponent is playing something like Numeron Network. so that I'm not just dead. And out comes the Ashana. So I'm going to drop the Maxi. They don't have anything. Fantastic. I draw an Ash Blossom, because of course I do. And then I draw into packs, which is actually pretty nice. Out comes the Vachetta, and I draw into the second Ash Blossom. That's 1, 2, 3 Ash Blossoms. Why? I don't know. Anyway, they are going to go for a Protoss here, which is actually pretty bad for us, because they can call Dark, and that means we no longer get any more DPEs. However, because all of our Exosisters are in fact light attributes, we don't get to, we're not too worked up about that. However, since we have Lightning Storm, we can just deal with this back row, and we draw into the last Exosister. We didn't really need it, but hey, we drew it. So we're going to go Stella into Sophia, and then we're going to activate packs to grab up the Irene. Irene is going to special summon itself. Sophia is going to draw a card. We draw the Vadis. We're going to actually put that back into the bottom of the deck, and draw a Pot of Prosperity. Not exactly what we wanted, but it's fine. The reason that we put the Vadis onto the bottom of the deck is because we can go for Mika in order to search it back out if we needed to. We're going to search the Armet here, and then we're going to attack in and during main phase 2, make the Zeus. We're going to set the Armet and pass. With Ash Blossom, Armet, and the Zeus, I'm pretty sure that this game is sealed. So we are going to, during their turn, special summon out a Mika. Reason being, I just wanted to use it to search out another card. And this is now lethal damage. We're going to special summon out the Ellis because it's funny. And we're going to search out one last card. We're going to search out the Vadis. And then we will switch everything to attack and deal lethal damage. Now this was again against Sword Soul. So not the greatest, but not the greatest of hand for my opponent. But hey, we did it. We beat the Sword Soul. Alright, here we are going first once again. And we have a pretty solid setup. We have the Ellis Sophia, which Ellis is just like the best Exosister. So with that, we're just going to go for a Pot of Prosperity for 3, and we end up adding it to our hand in Armet, which is very, very good, because now we have Vadis, Armet, as well as the Sophia Ellis. So what I'm going to do is, instead of going for an Exi, since we don't really need one, we're going to go for the Verte Anaconda instead, and go for the DPE. So out comes DPE. We're going to go and pop the Verte Anaconda, and then we're going to set these two and pass. We also have Effect Veiler, which is very nice. So out comes the DPE, and then down comes Lightning Storm. So I'm going to activate the Vadis, and it's going to get Ash. Okay. All right, fine. Whatever floats your boat, baby. They're going to go Pot of Prosperity for 6, and they are going to reveal a few things. They have the Ecclesia, as well as they have the Dark Ruler no more. So they could have gone Dark Ruler no more and just negated the DPE so that they didn't have to deal with it. But they instead decided to go for the Ecclesia here. Does it make sense? Kind of, not really though. But down comes the Moye. They're going to reveal the Sacred Summit. So I know, alright, let's not pop it, since with the DPE, since they have the Sacred Summit, they could just bring it back. Let's negate it. So we negate. Down comes Vessel of the Dragon Cycle. They are going to send to the grave a Taya, and then they're going to bring it back with the Sacred, or Sword Soul Sacred Summit. At this point, we'll pop the Taya, we'll activate the effect of the DP. They're going to get in for 850 because of Prosperity, and they will pass the turn. And we draw Armet off of the top, which is not crazy, kind of doesn't do anything, but we can set it in order for us to go and Celestial, in order to draw Ellis into Ellis. Again, best card. Best Exosister. And oddly enough, you can normal an Ellis, and then special an Ellis. And then you can special another Ellis, because there is no once per turn at all on this. Actually, that's a lie. You can only use the special summon once. But you can normal an Ellis and then special an Ellis, because it's not picking. Anyway, so we're going to go for a Mika here in order to banish the Moye, and then we will activate the Mika effect, search out the Vadis so that we can do the same thing, Armet, Vadis, and pass. Sorry, we're going to attack in for 5,000, make a Zeus, set the card, or set the Vadis, and then pass. And I know what you're saying, why make Zeus? You're not going to activate it. Reason being, it's better to have something like a Zeus in case they have another Lightning Storm or something along those lines than to just have a useless XZ that's literally not doing anything on my side of the field. So there you go, that's why. Out comes the Tenyi Spirit Ashana. I'm going to activate in response the Vadis and then the Armet in order to go into a Mika so that we can promptly banish the Ashana because I am scared of it. So we're going to banish the Ashana, and down comes the Adhara, and to this I will just DPE. We're going to pop the last monster, and yeah, that's the game. Now, this game was actually up against a back row heavy deck, which is actually very difficult for Exosisters to really work with. So we're going to start off with Pot of Prosperity. We're going to go for 3 since we already have the Stella and another Exosister in our hand. And I'm going to search out the Imperm. We're going to go for the Stella here in order to special summon out the Sophia. Then, because I used Pot of Prosperity, we can't actually go for a Cirque. So, again, we will go for the Verte Anaconda. Verte Anaconda will allow us to go into DPE, which will be very, very valuable. Yeah, we're going to pop the Verte, obviously, and then we will use the DPE, and we will set 1 Imperm and pass. I didn't set the Arment because it's literally going to do nothing. Out comes the DPE, and down comes Sangan, and I'm thinking, okay, with Sangan, normally it's like a Cupid Pitch combo, or more specifically, I'm thinking it is Phantom Knights. That is very much so not the case, because out comes Multi-Faker. And then they set 5 and pass! Oh dear. We do hit the spoofing, which is nice, but yeah, with set 5, I am terrified. We're going to Dasher out the Stella. Out comes Protocol, which is going to do nothing. But down comes the Multi-Faker. Multi-Faker is then going to special summon out a monster. But I do want to negate the Protocol at the very least, so that with DPE we have something, and out comes the second Protocol. Okay, not a lot that we can do about that. But yeah, at the very least we get to negate this Protocol, which is like, okay, whatever. But they do get to special summon the Silicotus. Anyway, Stella's effect is going to activate. They are going to negate and destroy. Realistically, should I have activated the Stella effect? No, that was a huge mistake from me. But we are going to go to battle here, and again, I made a mistake. If I had normaled the Sophia, we could have had the ability to utilize the Sophia by sending it, or sorry, by Exe summoning, using it. So I do make a mistake here because I attack it into the Sil in order to, and then they add back the Protocol to their hand. So there I could have had the Sophia Exe into a Mika, which just goes to show that I am not comfortable with this matchup. I don't quite know all of the cards and what they do, but more specifically, I was a little too hesitant with my Exosisters. So out comes the personal spoofing. They are going to shuffle away their Protocol in hand in order to grab a Meluseek, and then I'm going to go and pop their other set card in Manifest. We're going to then normal the Sophia as well as set the Armet, and then we will get to draw 2. And I draw 2 called by. So I'm actually just going to call by the Sil, and then I'm going to set the other called by. So now we have a personal spoofing as well as a Protocol to deal with, and that's basically it. We also have to deal with the Meluseek that is coming down that we know about. So in the battle phase, I'm going to activate the Armet in order for us to go for a Mika. The reason being, we go for Mika, I really need to deal with this Meluseek. So I'm going to try and banish it. They are going to activate their Protocol. I'm going to activate the DPE. They are going to shuffle away the Protocol, and then they will grab up their Multi-Faker. However, DPE doesn't target, so we are still able to get the Meluseek. So we're going to pop the Meluseek and the DPE. They're going to activate the Meluseek. We are going to called by it because we don't want them to add an Altergeist monster from their deck to their hand. And then they will go to the end phase. All right. We draw a Lightning Storm. Not the greatest, but it's okay. Then we are going to go for a Mika here, and I search out the Carpe Divum. The reason being, because if we can attack with the Exosister Mika, we are able to pop a card with this. However, realistically, I should have searched for a Pax or a just like anything else. Realistically, Arment would have been also very good because we could have locked them out of special summoning from the grave, which would have been really good because of Meluseek. So this was again, failure on my part, but alas, it's still fine. I'm going to set the Lightning Storm just so that we have extra fodder for our DPE. We're going to deal 5,000 damage, pop their last back row, and pass the turn. Now, they do have Meluseek, which is basically all that they need. And off the top, they draw a Pot of Extravagance. They're going to Imperm me, and I'm going to go and pop the DPE as well as the Imperm, because there's no real point in keeping the DPE around negated. So instead, I'm just going to get it into the grave as quickly as I can, in case it would end up being banished by something else. So yeah, that's why I do that. They're going to go and special summon out with their Marionetter the Multi-Faker. Multi-Faker will then special summon out another one of their monsters, and then out comes the Hextia. So they're going to add back their Pukari, and then set another card and pass. At this point, I'm like, I don't think I really need to do anything. I can just attack. The Protocol is what we know. We don't know the other set, but mostly it's going to be effect negations. So as long as I don't have anything for them to negate, we should be fine. Which, at this point, we kind of don't. I am going to go with Mika, and we are going to pop what we know is the Protocol. We're going to attack it in, deal with the Hextia. Hextia is then going to add the the Marionetter. We are then going to use the effect of our DPE to try and pop their back row. Turns out it is, in fact, an Imperm, and at this point, the game is sealed. So, whew, DPE was invaluable there. But all in all, the Exosister cards did have kind of an issue with that back row, and luckily we were able to scrape by with that one. Alright, so how did this deck perform? Honestly, better than expected, but it's still not the best deck, not even close. And it is far from being consistent as well. Sure, oftentimes you are able to get out 1 or 2 Exes, or maybe a DPE, but in all reality, it's not really much to talk about. That's why playing a lot of hand traps is very nice, just because you kind of have a lot of space if you're able to see 2 Exosisters. Oftentimes you're able to go into one of your Exes, or at the very least, you have potential to go into one of the Exes. And then with the hand traps, you are most likely able to slow your opponent down enough. However, all in all, the deck's fine. It makes Zeus, it makes DPE, and it can play a lot of hand traps. So what's not to like, you know? But yeah, that's going to be it for this episode. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy. If you did, a like is very much appreciated. And if you want to check out more content like this, as well as more Yu-Gi-Oh!, then just be sure to subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye.